What up, fam? How y'all doing out there? Welcome to another live, live in the lab with your boy Malcolm Airbrush Assassin McCray. We got something special for y'all, so I'm gonna go ahead and do this MLK portrait design. The concept is gonna be we're gonna do red and green colors in the background, and then we're gonna do um, the black over top. So this is probably gonna be like two streams. I'm gonna do this one this morning, and then I'm gonna do one later on today. Um, so hope you guys enjoy. If you got any comments, questions, definitely let me know. DJ Quest, what's up, man? Peace to all of my brothers and sisters all across the world. Chime in where you from, city, state, country. You know, I'm always making sure that I plug in people from all over. I appreciate you guys' support. So, we got MLK Day. So I decided to kind of like do something special for MLK, and hope you guys enjoy it. Get this up so I can get both screens up. Make sure I don't miss any of you guys' comments and all that good stuff. All right, so like I said, I got my projector all up already, and we got the image already. So what we're gonna do first is um, throw some red and some green in the background. Also, let me know if you have any problems, any issues. Make sure you can hear me. Give me a thumbs up and just be like, "Yo, Malcolm, I can hear you." I got just trying to be able to lock down and make sure that the audio is good. So all right. So all right, we're gonna use two airbrushes today. So I got the Assassin. We're gonna go ahead and put our colors down with that. So I mixed up some red, and I'm gonna go ahead and use that a little bit. Man, hope you guys are staying warm out there. Hope the snow ain't been hurting too many people. So we're gonna do red on this side, and then we're gonna do green on this side. So I just wanted to be able to show you guys like when you airbrushing and you're doing something on this level, how to be able to use color. This is gonna be black and white, but the background is gonna be red and green. So we're gonna put this red in first. Just kind of slowly fade that in. I'm using this media paper. Sometimes it acts a little funny. It wants to kind of expand, but we're gonna make it do what it do with what we got. No excuses, as my dad would say. Joe, what's up? Good morning, everybody. Hope everybody is having a good morning. So, man, I get excited doing these live because it gives me an opportunity to be able to vibe out with you guys immediately. Like for years, I've always done DVDs and instructional products, but now to be able to kind of like get live feedback from people, making sure they understand what I'm talking about, is always cool. All right, so we got some of that red in. We're gonna fade a little bit more in here. Like I said, this paper is kind of folding a little bit, but we're gonna make it do what it do. There we go. Now, one of the things that always happens is people always move a little bit too fast, put the paint on too fast, too quick. So we just want to make sure that you're slowly building up the colors. It takes me back to a story when I was probably in elementary school. I did I'm originally from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, big up 414 Milltown, and every year they would do the MLK poster competition, and I would draw this specific year. I decided to enter it, and it was pretty dope. But I just remember, you know, like My dad had a Bob Marley album, forgot which one it was, but on the back of it had, I think it was like Free South Africa with like the chains breaking in the back. And I was just so amazed at that image that I end up using that for the MLK Day. And it was crazy because I remember going to school and giving it to the art teacher, and she was kind of acting like she wasn't gonna. We're gonna go ahead and put some green in there, y'all. She was acting like she wasn't gonna accept it because it had the Free South Africa thing on there. She was like, "What does that have to do with MLK?" And I remember my dad was like, it's all about unity and it's all about helping individuals and people who are down and out, people that's fighting for freedom. So Martin Luther King always stood for that. And I just kind of reflect on that. Yeah, they definitely did let me bring it in and allow me to, they did accept it, but I didn't win. But I just kind of reflect on that, as an artist sometimes people don't understand where you're going and what you're doing and why you're doing your work and why you're doing the art that you're doing. And it's okay because everybody's not going to understand it, right? So, again, if you're just not tuning in, we're doing an MLK portrait. We're going to be doing the two-tone colors. We got green on one side, red, and then we're going to be doing the actual portrait in black over top of everything. So, again, if you're tuning in, let me know what country, what state, what town you tuning in from. I always just kind of like to kind of get a perspective of who's out there in the world. Make sure you follow the page, follow the movement. I'm just gonna fade that in. I'll let that sit for a little bit. We ain't gonna put no more green. Again, a lot of the times what happens is people move a little too fast when it comes to airbrushing and they want to put too much color on too fast. So make sure you slow down in between colors and allow the colors to kind of like settle before you kind of start putting in more and more paint. That happens, believe me, more than one time with a lot of newbies and professional airbrush artists. So you want to kind of just make sure that you take your time and let these sit in between the different coats. Okay. Now I did have I'm going to use a stencil design too that I have. We're just going to do a little bit of this in the background just to kind of give it some definition. So I call this the dot stencil. We're going to kind of just use that in the background just to kind of give it a little definition, specifically around the green first, and then we'll kind of do a little bit around the red as well. So I like to use these kind of stencils and things just to kind of give some definition or to kind of like open up the space a little bit. So we're going to go ahead and pop this on down here. While that's drying up there, like that. What y'all think? Oh, it's nice, right? We're going to do another one up here. Okay. You don't want to overdo it. A lot of times, you got to make sure that when you're using stencils, you don't want to overdo it. You want to let the stencil work for you guys. We're going to go ahead and throw some more red in there. Now, as you can see, I'm flowing through these colors. I'm not having to clean out my airbrush and all of that in between. That's because a lot of the paints, when I'm mixing a lot of, like I made this red maybe 15 minutes ago, made this green maybe 15 minutes ago. I make it to where, again, my paints are very transparent. We're working on white backgrounds. So you want to be able to make sure that your colors and your paints are transparent and thin so we can build up the color from there. We're going to go ahead and throw a little pencil work in the background here. That came out nice, like that. And also, guys, I will be raffling these off. Some of this artwork, I'll be raffling it off. Um, just be giving it away to individuals who like, share, subscribe to all of the channels. You know, if you know somebody that's trying to learn airbrushing, or just somebody that's like into creativity, you know, maybe this you can use this as a tool to be able to give to them. We're gonna let that sit for a little bit. Actually, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and spray. All right, so you got air right here. So as we letting this dry on us, I don't know if you guys can be able to see that it's wet. So we're gonna take the airbrush without any paint and we're just gonna spray it on there just to dry it, guys. This is another technique. You don't have to use a blow dryer all the time. I do have a blow dryer just in case, but I'm gonna use this air to be able to dry this as well. Okay, almost there. All right, so I like that. You got any questions? Let me know, guys. All right. So we got our backgrounds pretty much done. We can always come back over it and kind of like touch it up down the line. We're gonna go ahead and put our red and our green back up and get that out the way because we're gonna start using some black. All right. So we got the wild image airbrush hooked up. I took some black, already thinned it down. We're gonna kind of over thinned it down because I wanted to be able to make sure that I get a lot of the gradients. And like I said, we don't want to go too dark too fast. And on this perspective, when we have the projector hooked up, all we want to really focus in on just basic shapes, basic shading areas, and then we'll come back over it down the line and be able to do a lot of the detail. We'll turn the projector off and do a lot of the detail. All right. So we'll start over here on this side and just kind of work our way over. Again, you just want to take your time, let the airbrush work for you. And we're just really trying to focus in on making sure that we get the placement right. The placement and then also the shading and the shadows. A lot of the times people don't focus in on the light and dark areas. You want to kind of also make sure that your whatever reference you're using is important too. Meaning like whatever photo that you're using, you just want to make sure that it looks like the person. A lot of times people have issues when they're doing portraits because they might use a picture or image that doesn't necessarily look like the person, meaning that like it looks like the person on the photograph, but when you airbrush it or you paint it, something sometimes looks a little off. Pretty sure you guys kind of have seen that in the past. People work just looks a little something might be off a little bit, and a lot of that is also built around the image that they use. So you want to be able to make sure that you find a really nice, clean image. Take your time. I did bring this in Procreate, cleaned it up a little bit. So, so you just want to take your time. Again, I probably thin this paint down to about 50% of the capacity. I didn't want to go too dark too fast, but this is more kind of like a real transparent black, almost like a smoky gray. Because we're just trying to get placement and shading. Then we're going to come back in and darken it up bit by bit. And like I said, this piece is it's going to be I'm going to do this as a giveaway. So if you're interested in it, definitely make sure you um, like the page, share it, subscribe to my YouTube, and then that'll kind of enter you into the giveaway raffle. And I'll ship it directly to you for free. All right. Okay, so we're just slowly taking it. Again, we're just trying to get basic placement. We ain't trying to go too crazy too fast. Just trying to make sure we got a clear understanding of where all the shadows are. So when we turn off the projector, you're not guessing. I used to, when I had my airbrush shop in Milwaukee, I would have a lot of my students or a lot of my apprentices do all of my projection and draw it out before I paint it. And one of the things that I realized is that people have a tendency to not paint what they see, but paint what they want to see. You know, draw what they want to see instead of drawing what you see. And I think that's important, like to condition your eyes to be able to see what's there, not what you want to see, especially when you're dealing with portraits and shading and different things like that. It's easy to kind of do your own thing, and then the reference or the image just doesn't look like the actual figure. So just kind of be careful with that if you run into that situation. We're just gonna take our time. We ain't gotta rush this process, right? Slow and steady. Like I said, we'll get whatever we can get done right now, and then I'll do another one later on. I still got the piece that we did yesterday and worked on, so we're gonna kind of come back and bring that in as well later on. So try to tune in. Go ahead and make sure that you like and subscribe YouTube page, so then you can be able to get the notifications when we go live again. What's going on? Nice. Trying to not cover up the projection while I'm painting. Gotta kind of paint at an angle, right? Now I could have drew this out, but I've been airbrushing for so long. It's like drawing it out and then painting it. It's like double the work. So I'll rather project it and then come back over it and do a lot of my detail later. Whereas if I would have to come in here with a paint, I mean, and so I was gonna have to airbrush it anyway. Like I said, we're just getting basic placement. I ain't focusing in on trying to make it perfect. We're just getting basic placement, then we're gonna come in and clean it up a little bit. It's important to get your basic placement. Focusing in on those shadow areas, the light and dark areas. It's important. Okay, we're going. Last thing you want to do is get lost in your own work. So make sure you take some time pull back, stop, analyze your reference, analyze where you painting at. Okay, looking good so far. Yeah. Like I said, we're just trying to get this basic placement in. Then we're gonna come back in, darken everything up, and just kind of slowly build up the colors bit by bit. And we're gonna try to do it all at one time. Take our time, do a little bit at a time. So for all my people in Africa, Senegal, Ghana, West Africa, wherever you're at, I'll be coming back to Africa to continue on the AIRBRUSH Africa uh, school training facility that we're building over there. It's going to be roughly around September of October this year. Already got, if you know anybody that wants to learn, definitely make sure that you contact me. Getting some dates and everything locked down. Got a couple classes locked in with some institutions and so on. All right. I think I'm going to come back over here and mess with this. Make sure that we get this. So if you're interested, get a hold of me. And I had such a great time. Last time and all my students. And then I'm definitely also offering online classes. So if you're interested in learning virtually, contact me. However you want to learn and you need to learn, make sure you contact me. Okay, we're going to bring this down. Cheekbone is important. Where you put the lips, the cheekbone, and the eyes. Okay, see how that looks. All right, I like that. We're going to go ahead and shut the projector off. And we can come in here and put a little bit more love in it. All right, so this is where we at. Can y'all see that? It's a little dark, but you might be able to see that. All right, so now we're gonna come in and so you guys can see. Let me know if it's too dark for you. I can move this light a little bit. Okay, so we're gonna come in and start putting in a little bit more detail, darkening things up a little bit more. So cleaning things up, just cleaning it up. I like to start off with the darker areas first, so I can kind of build my shadow and stuff around. So always gotta make sure you know where you painting at, what direction you going. I don't want to get lost in your own artwork. Painting what you don't see and painting what you want to paint. Important. Shading on that. This right here is going to be a highlight. We want to make sure that we don't cover that up and make it too dark. Because then when we do our highlights, we won't be able to see it. So, gotta work the process, not trying to rush it. Like I said, this paint is staying down pretty thin because we're building it up. We're building the colors up. We don't want to go too dark too fast. Okay. Have a look, you guys. All right. Going. So when I do portraits of ancestors, I like to kind of reflect on what they stood for. Sometimes if I'm doing like a musician, I'll listen to some of the music. Of course, for MLK, we think about freedom, we think about equality, sacrifice. So imagine if I would have went right in with black, it would have looked real dark real fast. It's okay to go dark. Sometimes I go extremely dark first, so when I put my highlights on there, the highlight spot. But that's something that you got to know what you're doing. You know, you got to be able to anticipate your work, your artwork, and all of that. Whatever subject you paint, make sure that it's clear on what technique you're going to be using. So, like I said, I'll go a little extra dark on there because I know I'll be adding some white highlights or different things like that. So keep that in consideration as well. Is that when you're doing your highlights and different things, you want to be able to have that contrast from the light and the dark. So it's okay as long as you know what you're doing. It's okay to go a little extra dark, but you don't want to do it too fast. So like I said, I created and mixed this paint up where it's like not a whole 100% opacity, 50-50, because I didn't want to go too dark. You're gonna constantly hear me say that because I've watched a lot of people do a lot of airbrush portraits, and the work doesn't look good, or something is just off because it's just too dark. We don't want that. I don't want you guys to have to go through that. It's very frustrating. So you want to make sure that you don't go through that. Listen to your boy Airbrush Assassin, man. You don't want to be falling into these pitfalls. I think that That's what I find more than anything. Most artists just get so discouraged. Um, and I didn't have anybody to teach me, so I can understand how it can be. I think it, I grew up airbrushing before the internet. So the only thing you kind of had was there was some books out there, but nothing dynamic. And when a lot of times you meet an airbrush artist at the mall or something, most airbrush artists aren't open-minded to share. That's something that we got to work on in the industry because as we get older, artists get older, you got to have apprentices, you got to have people that can help you get projects done. Um, got to have students, man. It's important to have students. I love the way that the tattoo industry does it. You know, you go to a tattoo shop, most tattoo shops, if it's going to be an artist that's been around, that's got a good reputation, you got to do an apprenticeship. Sometimes it's like a year, sometimes it's 2 years. So I think we need to take that same kind of perspective with airbrushing and teach more. So that's why I put together these lives and work that I've been doing for the last 30 years. It's because there wasn't nobody to teach me. So I made an oath to myself that when it was my turn, I was gonna get on top. I was gonna help the next artist. It is frustrating when you're trying to learn something and then you don't have a good teacher, people that can believe in what you're doing. So take great pride in this. I'm excited because you guys are excited. So send your boy a line, drop your boy a line, man. Give me some little inspiration. If you dig it, if you don't dig it, if I need to improve on something, definitely let me know because I want to be able to make sure you guys get as much as you possibly can out of me. Um, one of my great motivational speakers that I listen to is Les Brown. And he always one of his quotes is "Live full and die empty." So I don't want to take this with me when I'm gone. I want to be able to get this airbrush industry and get this airbrush skill and this technique away, man, because you know you're not gonna be able to die with it, man. you know, share it, man, with the world to the best of your ability. Each one teach one. African proverb. So I've been blessed enough, maybe not in the airbrush game, but in the art game, and then also having great uh, mentors. It's important to have great mentors. All right, so I'm gonna come up and hit this mouth area and kind of work on that a little bit. So I always try to tell people, man, find a mentor. If it's something that you want to do, find somebody that's doing it and see if they'll teach you. You know, they might not see that your value, so you got to make yourself. You got to create value for yourself. Um, Part of my book, I think it's the Art of Success, is a whole chapter on mentorship, like how to contact a mentor, how to talk to a mentor, how to ask somebody if they would mentor you. It's important because you can't be prideful in this game, man. You got to be able to ask for advice and ask people to help you out if you really want to get somewhere. There's only so much you can do by yourself at home practicing. So coming together. Yeah. So this right here are pretty much the shading lines, so I know where to shade at. So I'm gonna kind of fade those in. Another thing you got to keep in mind anytime you're doing portraits, there's no actual lines in people's face. So it should be all gradients, light to dark fades. There's no actual lines, in people's in coloring books or illustration, you got lines, But when you start doing portraits, it's all about the gradients. So you want to be able to make sure that you're not putting a whole lot of lines and you're using the airbrush and trying to get those gradient fades, because the eye only recognizes light and dark. Sometimes even with color, color can just throw off your whole piece of work. When I'm doing a lot of my portraits or a lot of my work, sometimes most times I'll start off with a black and white reference. Like I don't even want to see the color because the color will throw you off. It'll make your eyes kind of reflect on the color instead of the shapes. And that's what you want to look at when you airbrush. You want to look at the shapes. Don't get caught up into so much on the the detail out of that. You want to be able to focus in on the shape of the ear, circular, the shape of the lip. That right there, breaking things down in shapes in your head. I call it rendering, like inner rendering, like learning how to, if you do use Photoshop, you know that term rendering. So you want to be able to be great at rendering things. And with the airbrush, it's one of those tools that make it very easy for you to render things. So we're going to do this portrait here in about an hour. For about an hour, I'm going to get a lot done within an hour because the airbrush is great for rendering. And I've been able to get my eyes adjusted to looking at artwork from that perspective. Charles, Charles Styles, what's up, bro? Salam King. Charles Styles is one of the artists that I met when I was in Senegal. He came to the airbrush class that I put together. Dope illustrator, dope designer, dope graffiti artist. So definitely make sure you follow his page. Helped me out a lot. He gave me a dope shirt, did some designs and some concepts for me, man. So I got much love to your brother. Met your mom, man. Tell your mama I said hi. And your sister, thank you for the hospitality when I was in Africa. And my boy King Mo, he might be popping in. But man, I got a podcast we working on as well. So y'all stay tuned, man. I got a lot of stuff we're gonna be dropping. So we looking good. All right, we're gonna do a little bit more shading in this eye. I've honestly, I'm always I sit down and reflect and you know meditate in the morning and do my prayers. I'm always just amazed on how far I've been able to do with the airbrush. Like I remember being a kid, not really knowing. I started off airbrushing when I was 12, not really knowing what this was gonna do and how this was gonna affect my life. I just knew I loved art. But now to be able to travel all over the world and have students all over the world, it's a blessing. Just never know. I believe everybody has a talent. You just got to spend more time trying to figure out what that talent is. So, if you got any questions, definitely let me know. We're gonna get this fading in it. All right, take your time. Remember, paint what you see, not what you want to see. Paint what you see. All right, so I do have my freehand shield here. This is a shield that I made, and it's a stencil tool. And what this does is allows you to be able to have nice, clean lines. I have different shapes and different things, and I use this as a tool to just kind of help me out. So you can see how I created this curve right here, and this curve fits perfectly around the eye. So to be able to show that that eye sits back a little bit, you got to make a little shading and a little shadow back there, so you can understand, that eye. So the eye, so you understand. So the person who's looking at it understands that the eye is in the background, and so you got to have kind of like tools to help you out whatever it does. But this will work. Got a straight edge right there. Okay. And this around again on this curve, I made some circles as well. When you're dealing with stencils and freehand tools, you want to be able to make sure that the edges, especially with people's faces, ain't too sharp because it'll look kind of fake. You want to kind of blend it in a little bit more. So you just got to be able to make sure that when you paint and you're using these kind of tools, that it doesn't make your work look too overly clean. You want to be able to make sure that it still feels like and it looks like somebody painted it. Again, this will be it's gonna be a giveaway. So make sure that you to be able to join the giveaway. Very simple. Go to my YouTube page, Airbrush Assassin. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure on Facebook and on Instagram, make sure that you join and make sure that you share and like it. And then just inbox me. Actually, I'll pick it. I'll pick the person, and then I'll just message the person, let them know that they won. So if you're interested, like I said, go to my YouTube to be able to join. You want this piece in your home, YouTube, Airbrush Assassin, Facebook, Airbrush Assassin, Instagram, Airbrush Assassin. And I'm going to go ahead and send this to you. Okay. Got a little shadow that we need to put underneath this eye right here, just to kind of indicate that muscle. So we're going to slowly create that. All right, and right here, I think we got a little something, something. Put there, little shadow. I had a person contact me yesterday. Um, Said he was a 70-year-old gentleman and been trying to learn airbrushing for a while, and haven't been able to find anybody that can teach him. And he was saying off of just a video yesterday, he was able to learn uh, some techniques, that he had been watching YouTube videos for a while, and just one video was able to kind of help him learn some things. So this is why I'm doing this, because I see so many people frustrated. So we want to be able to make sure that we can make it a little bit easier for you guys. Okay. Yes. Also, what I realized when you're doing portraits, you want to be able to make sure that if you're going to be doing shading, make sure that the shading are like small dagger strokes. So, for instance, like right underneath his neck, you know that the skin is being pulled because he's turning and twisting. So, to kind of like show that technique or show that effect, you can just do some dagger strokes, and that kind of gives you that effect of movement. So, and then also to kind of like show This is his collar is over top of his tie. Put that little shadow there. Then what we'll do is use a straight edge to kind of darken in some of these areas around his collar. Then I'll do some small dagger strokes going down just to kind of give it a little texture. First of all, I'm gonna go around here, darken this up. How we looking, guys? Yes. And then, okay. That's what we need to do now. And move shadow over a little bit more. So let me just kind of explain to you guys what I'm looking at and kind of like how I'm doing this. So you got to make sure that your highlight areas are seen and resonate effectively. So I know this is a highlight area, this is a highlight area, this is a highlight area, this is a highlight, this is a highlight, the top of the lip, the bottom of the lip. More of this is shading, and then this right here is a highlight. And it's important to kind of understand how light plays a role in your art and where's the light source coming from. So make sure that when you're looking at, so on this reference it would be like the light will be on this side shining this way. So when you're putting your highlights and everything and your shadows, you got to be able to make sure that you're not putting shadows where the light source will be. If that makes sense. That's another one of those situations that I see a lot of artists not paying attention to the light source, and it throws off the whole artwork. So just make sure you're paying attention to like these kind of like things. These are the things that separate a good piece from a bad piece. And to be able to show that the ear is kind of distant from the rest of the head, that's where we have these darker areas, these drop shadows. To be able to show that the lip is protruding out, we got a dark shadow underneath, light at the top. To be able to show that this lip is protruding out, we got a highlight in the middle, dark shadow at the bottom. To be able to show that this crease right here, you got dark areas and light areas, then you got a light area at the top. So those perspectives and those techniques are very important to understand why you painting it, the way you painting it. Gotta always stop and ask yourself and look at the image and make sure that it lines up with just the laws of light and dark space, positive and negative space. It's pretty much what you're looking at. And taking your time and doing your gradients just correctly. But like I said, with this, I'm going a little extra dark because I want to be able to make sure that when I put my highlights on here, everything is popping. Slip over just a little bit. Another thing that I always try to look at is the lines across, like making sure everything is straight. I can show you guys, like, we're going to use this stencil so you can understand a little bit what I'm talking about. So, making sure that if you dealing with like a curve or whatever, that, the bottom of the lip connects to the top of the lip, connects to the nose, making sure that, the eye, the middle of the eye, and the ear is at the same height. So, you got to constantly be making sure that things are lined up effectively. You don't want to just be painting and then look up and the eye is off or the ear is off or something like that. So, take that in consideration as well. So, I'm going to darken this up just a little bit just to show that his chin is kind of over top of his collar. On the side, this eye, we want to darken this, make this a little shadow so you can be able to tell that that top of the eye is over top of the eyeball. And we're going to use our freehand tool to be able to do the bottom just a little bit, not too much, not too clean. Just like that. Let's get it. I'm going to go ahead and circle. Good. I'm going to bring this shadow over his eye over a little bit more. Drop that shadow down. Okay. Now we're going to come over here and work on this other eye. First thing I want to do, I'm just looking at the shape, is get that eyebrow in first, and then we can kind of bend, work everything around that. And get basic placement. It's going to be a little dark, so it's not going to have to be like full detail on this side, but just want to be able to make sure that it doesn't look crazy. Because it can always look crazy. Okay. This eyebrow, I think we need this freehand extension more. Get this. These little hairs that we want to make sure that we put in there. Another thing when you're doing hairs and different things, make sure that all of the hairs are lined up at the same direction. You don't want to have hairs going the opposite way. Make sure that little area right here. That lining, boy. It's good. Gotta make sure that lining is right. All right, so looking good. I am going to take my freehand tool and I'm gonna kind of go around the shape of his head a little bit. Take our time and do it because we don't want to overdo it. Okay. Okay. I like that. Let's clean up his head at the top a little bit. Okay. All right, guys. So we went ahead and got MLK. We projected it, put our red and our green in the background. We took our black, thinned it down to make it real thin so we can build the colors up and use our stencil effect just to kind of make it pop. So I think this is good for right now. Come back, check in with me a little later on today. We're gonna go ahead and finish up and put the highlights and everything on there. Probably do a little bit more in the background as well. But thanks for tuning in. Make sure that you like, subscribe to all of the channels so you can get the notifications when your boy goes live. And if you got any questions, definitely let me know. And appreciate you guys. Peace and love. See you guys later on. Lock in with your boy. Holla.